Hello, welcome back to Honey Badger 3D Print and Paint. Today we are taking a look at the Wicked Patreon and their green goblin. Before we get started, roll those credits. Right, so this barely fits in the camera shot. It definitely doesn't fit on any shelves that I have, and it's been a journey getting to where we are. So this is the Green Goblin model from Wicked's Patreon. I'll put the link in the video description. Wicked have 3 Patreons. So they have Wicked, they do Berserk, and they have the Star Wars one as well. Right now, today, I don't know of many, if any other artists who are turning out quality models at this level. So this is obviously scaled up. We scaled this up by 200%. A large portion of it is resin, which is made, so all of him is resin. And then we have some of his accessories and extra heads and things like that, which are also all resin. We have the entire glider. So the glider assembly is all made on the Bamboo Labs. And then we have the smoke and the base. So the smoke and the base are both done on my Sidewinder X1, with one piece being done by Mike on his Sidewinder X2, but hardly matters. So, so first and foremost, we aren't going to be using this bit of base. So the way this is cut and keyed, this whole smoke piece actually lifts right off, and it will sit flat on the table. So we will be doing that. The reason why I've included it here is to show you the full size of the model at 200%. The main reason we won't be using that base is, one, my Sidewinder didn't do a fantastic job printing it, and my parts don't quite 100% align, which is really annoying. But moreover, it is a case of I want to put him up here. So I want to move Osriel over, and I want him right here. And quite obviously, he's massive. So so he doesn't quite fit. I mean, we're talking 20 mil. He'd be scraping the ceiling. You wouldn't see his head, blah de blah. So what I want to do is I'm going to take this smoke off once it's painted. I will not be using this base. That'll just get sort of archived. Let's call it that. We put on a shelf, and then he will end up here. So before I show you around the model, and we'll get to that in a second. The resin stuff was all done on the M3 Max. It was the only resin printer I had that was big enough to do the parts at this size. I would challenge that if you were doing this normal size, as in the 100% size, all of this would have fitted on a 10.1 inch resin printer if you were doing him in resin, and all of this would have fitted on a probably Ender sized machine. Obviously everything here is blown up, so as a result it just makes it very difficult. Some of these parts aren't on yet because basically I have to glue them on, and I want to paint everything before I do all of that. I have to say that the detail on this model is absolutely, I mean, it's phenomenal. So doing these parts in resin is in my opinion is absolutely going to make this model look infinitely better than it ever could have done in FDM. Now, to be clear, the reason for that is that quite a lot of his suit and the glider are metal, obviously, and it's very difficult quite often to get a good finish and a metal-like finish on FDM without loads of smoothing, priming. I had to do all of the glider at a 0.12 layer height on the bamboo to get the surface quality that I wanted. If I'm honest, there's still some parts where it would have benefited from being done in resin, but due to the sheer size of the glider, It comes out in like, I think it comes in 1, 2, 3. I think it's about 5 parts that it comes in total. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough parts to mean that I could break it down even more. I did have to make some cuts myself to make it fit on the M3, to fit it on even on the bamboo. So I had to cut these prongs at the front here off because they just sat too far proud. Obviously, we're going to be painting this. I'm going to go for a No Way From Home style. That's pretty much what this glider is from anyway. So there'll be lots of silvers and metallic greens and bronzes and golds and things like that. When you take a look at the model in a second, pay special attention to the face, because this model is immediately identifiable as William Dafoe. Immediately identifiable. And faces are hard enough to do when you are doing 3D modelling, and they're 10 times harder when you're trying to make them look like the actor that played them. This head here, which, to be clear, they're not interchangeable heads. So once you pick your head, that's the head you've got. There's a bit of scarf that goes around the back of this particular head, and it locks the head to the model. So unfortunately, I can't hot swap these out as and when I wanted to, which is, you know, it's fine. You just pick the head you want and do. These heads are, these are quite difficult because they're, you know, you have to model these based off of the screen, but at the same time, the proportions are pretty much all there for you because they're all on the screen. You're not trying to place eyes or place heads or place mouths or whatever. This is all just sort of, you know, this is a complex model to do, but a lot of modelers could do this. A lot of modelers could do this, where it is sort of a very organic flowing cloak. That becomes very complicated. And then do a face. That would be, you know, not beyond the realms of most modelers. But to do a model and to do a face where it is instantly recognisable that that is William Dafoe it's insane. The work they've done is absolutely stunning. You will see when we do the, and again it's coming, when we do the sort of the go around, you'll see that this is currently held together with a clamp. That's because all of these parts sort of lock in together, but I don't want to glue these yet because I need to do some filling, but I also want to paint this smoke separate to everything else, otherwise my life's going to be really complicated when I'm painting. So you'll see how this all goes together, but this the glider is keyed into the smoke here, and it's keyed into the smoke down here as well. Again, just an absolutely stunning job that they've done on this. Really, really impressed. Wicked, again, I cannot stress this enough. Right now, Wicked and the Berserk Patreon are doing some of the best 3D models I've ever seen come out of the community. I've seen, I mean, there's people like Photos Mint who are doing very interesting, creative things, and there's a couple of guys like Sidneek who are doing like, you know, busts that genuinely look like people. But there's contextually few artists that are doing things that come out on this scale, and they look so beautiful, and they look so bang on. So, without further ado, let's give you a little look around. So, as you can see, the armour is massively detailed. There's loads and loads of detail in this. The M3 Max did an absolutely stunning job. There's still some support cleanup to do in some of the crevices and bits and pieces, which I will get to. And obviously I need to do a decent amount of filling on the base as well. But overall, I think you can agree that the effect is pretty stunning. Once I paint this, I think it's going to really, really pop. I'm super, super excited about how to try to do a lot of things that I haven't done before. So I haven't done loads of metallics. Metallics are quite difficult, so I've got some interesting techniques to try for that. I really want to try and push myself on his flesh tone because, again, this face is so good. I don't want to waste the face by basically not doing a good enough paint job on that. There's going to be a lot of contrast here as well. So there's a lot of purples and greens and bronzes and gunmetals and things like that. And that will really help to bring this model to life. So it's going to take me a little while to paint this, but we'll see how long that actually is. There's a lot of glow effects that need to be done on this. So the front of this and the boosters over here and the sort of the pumpkin bombs that he's got, all of those, they sort of they need like a green glow to them, but they don't need to be green. They just need to glow green. So that's going to be an interesting one. I've not really done a lot of sort of lighting effects with paint before, so we'll see how those come out and see whether or not they come out the way I want them to. But yeah. Thanks very much for joining us, guys and dolls. Keep tuned to the channel. We've got loads more coming. As you've already seen, we're starting to bring ourselves back to our core. So we're starting to bring ourselves back to painting big models, doing more tips and tricks and things like that. It's been a little review heavy for the last year or so, and we want to try and sort of pull away from the reviews a little bit and come back to doing some of the more creative stuff that we really enjoy making for you. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will catch you on the next video. Happy printing!